family keeps on telling me that I do not have an off button. But here I am. Well, thank you for the opportunity, everyone, to come and share a few things. I only have a couple of slides, and I'm going to struggle to keep up with the first two speakers, so please bear with me. The first slide is actually going to give you a bit of background of what I've been involved in and where I've learned a bunch of lessons and observations that I would like to share with you today. So my background is in tech. I've always been passionate about technology, innovation. I've always worked in it. I'm fortunate enough to be in a great environment in New Zealand where it's easy to start business and build business. So that's what I chose straight out of university. I've never had a job. I've always had a business. And at times multiple business as well. But I've been in the tech sector for 24 years, and through my business, I get the opportunity to kind of serve a lot of different sectors, from financial services, healthcare, transport, logistics, and so forth. And along the way, I kind of get to see and get to learn a whole lot of things about different kind of businesses and how technology kind of drives business in New Zealand and overseas. And at the same time, over time, I kind of, through being involved with the industry bodies and groups that kind of are relevant to my business, I learned a whole bunch of other things about ecosystem, about how to kind of grow together as a sector, and a whole bunch of other things that relate to how a business within a sector can kind of grow alongside everybody else. And then also, I've accepted a number of advisory roles and board-related roles, and assisting the government to understand where the business challenges are, and also how New Zealand businesses can connect with Asia, and so forth. And then also recently being very involved in founding the Kiwi Tech Hub for the Kiwi tech sector in Southeast Asia. So all of these kind of led to a bunch of key lessons for me that I would love to share with you tonight. First of all, I think our entire economy, it doesn't matter which sector you're in, are really facing either the opportunity or the pressure to transform because the entire economy is going digital. Right? Like it or not, it doesn't matter what business you're in, from insurance to transport to retail. You know, and this is something that's still many New Zealand businesses are not quite fully grasping in terms of what it means, and then also how to kind of transform the business. So that's one thing that's really pervasive right across our economy. The second thing is that the innovation ecosystem has changed significantly. So today, compared to say 24 years ago, when when some of the likes of you know, the insurance companies, the banks, and all these large organizations, they were innovating already, a lot of innovation internal to these organizations. But today, when you look at the ecosystem that these businesses are surrounded by, no longer great innovation happens only inside these great businesses, but they're happening right across the ecosystem that surround these businesses. You know, if you look at the banks today, right, innovation are coming from the outside. The payment platform, you know, are tech companies. You know, mobile banking are being driven by the ideas for mobile banking are driven by the consumers. You know, so everybody that surrounds the business, both within and outside, are really innovating, and it's a very, very different environment. Another thing that I learned is that the innovation that comes from outside of the business can also be very disruptive to the business. You know, so it's very important to realize that unless you really participate with the rest of your ecosystem, you could be in for a shocking disruption as a business. And then when I kind of look across the tech sector in New Zealand, which, by the way, we have an extremely strong tech industry in New Zealand. Now, you may not know this, but we have nearly 30,000 tech companies in New Zealand. And these are true tech companies. These are not businesses who innovate in tech and then kind of call themselves tech companies. These are, you know, so I actually didn't know this before I became the chair of NZTech, and we did some of these research projects to kind of understand the sector. But another thing that really that I found staggering was this, that there are many different areas of growth across our tech sector in New Zealand. But the one that's growing the fastest today is FinTech. This is where financial service providers, as well as tech companies, as well as others, participate in innovating all kinds of technology that are for financial services. And today, our rate of growth for FinTech is at 31.5%. Right? That's 4 times the rate of growth of the next part of the tech sector. And yet, if you ask me today, so this is so great, right? All these growth, like, so who's doing what? Who's doing all these cool FinTech in New Zealand? I say, actually, I don't know. Because we're not visible. We're too busy doing our own things, on backyards. And we don't know who each other are. We don't know who's doing what. We don't have a common voice. We don't understand the common challenges. We don't have a common view across the whole FinTech landscape of opportunity. We are not visible and audible to our own government. We are certainly not visible and accessible to the international community. And that's why about sort of 3 weeks ago, we got a bunch of organizations together and co-founded the New Zealand Financial Innovation and Technology Association, short is FinTechNZ. So these kind of observations are quite key to how I see, and this is my view, and I'm happy to be proven wrong here, but how I see business sustainability is in the context of where our businesses are in and what are we surrounded by. So the first key thing that I would, the first important lessons I would kind of carry with me forward in business is really about working smarter with others, because every single business in New Zealand is small, including Fonterra, right, on the global scale. And because today the internet connects us globally, so we are facing a global market, and because our own market is so small, most of our tech businesses innovate for the global market. So we have to think about global customer base, but also we have to think about global supply chain. So we have to learn to work with others. Otherwise, it is actually not sustainable. We're not big enough for anything. Secondly, New Zealand is not just far away, but we're not very well known. Now, I'll give you one example that still bothers me today, is that when you're in Asia, you ask a person on the street about what they know about New Zealand, they will say dairy, they will say education, they will say tourism, they will say clean, green, sheep, you name it, right? All the great things and all the right things that they should be saying. But one thing they miss out completely is that we are a very high-tech country. For 4.5 million people, we have 30,000 tech companies alone, right? Massively. So ultimately, I think if we're part of this sector, be it in the FinTech segment or otherwise, we need to think about how we grow the entire pie. How we, instead of competing against each other, it's actually this much bigger opportunity to compete together globally for the much bigger pie. And how do we grow that entire pie for the whole sector that we're in? And then the third thing that I very much also practice is really around whether or not as part of a sector representative or representative of my own business, involving government in sector activities, especially in the tech sector, is very, very key. Because unlike most governments that I have seen, New Zealand has a very, very open, very engaging, and very, very supportive government with all of these different agencies working together, where deliberately, government gets involved in sector conversations and develop and kind of shape regulations to support growth. And they do listen. They, but we have to lead, because we know our industry better than the government does. The government's in the business of making policy. They don't understand tech, right? They have to rely on us to lead, but they're right there to support us. So I think it's important. And then last but not least, because really the future of New Zealand is in the global market, international connections are really, really important. And I still see that across our tech, but also other sectors, where we still have amazing superstars who are now global companies out of New Zealand, but the rest of these sectors still very, very much limited to, to local growth and local customer bases. So there's really an opportunity here for companies who do have international connections to actually share them. And that was part of the reason why, even though we're not a big company, but we deliberately got together with others and founded and launched this Kiwi Connection Tech Hub for Southeast Asia in the middle of last year. So really, I have no kind of true wisdom to share with you. These are just lessons learned and some observations that I'm happy to share with you tonight.